First of all, we would like to treat this case as an alleged abduction. Not until we have finished our investigations are we able to classify it as an abduction case. So this matter is still under investigations, so we better leave it up to our investigating officers to ensure that they get to the bottom of this issue. Once investigations have concluded and pointed out whether this is an abduction or not. Why we are saying so is because we have seen instances where people have come to the police to report a case of abduction, and yet when we investigate, this case has turned out to be, others have turned out to be fake abductions. I'm sure you have seen what we have done in the case of the gentleman who reported the matter in Chisamba. We have also seen cases where people merely maybe has just lost a phone, and maybe someone has picked up the phone, has started sending messages to the relatives, and then they rush to the police and report that somebody is missing. So these are some of the things that we are talking of. And also we have seen a tendency of people wanting to take advantage of this situation. You remember we had an instance where we have actually arrested somebody from Livingstone who was claiming to be part and parcel of the person that actually witnessed the abduction. And yet when we instituted our investigations, we realized that this person was just trying to take advantage by way of maybe trying to get resources from persons. Because it's very easy now, we have technology. When you say that at this point, at such a point, we're able to track your movement and see whether what you're alleging is true or not. But in that case of the gentleman from Livingstone, we realized that actually he was just cheating and was trying to get support from members of the public get resources out of the situation that we are in.
Well, what are the dangers really of having people do something like this? How can this affect our communities, especially when we are talking about criminal activity? What are some of the concerns or things that need to be considered when we see people taking advantage of a serious situation like an abduction?
Let's not forget that this is an alleged abduction, because not until we're able to conclude the investigation, because for instance, we have to find the person who is alleged to have been abducted, or at least find something that clearly shows that this was an abduction. But what we are trying to say is, of course, the most people that have been coming forward with these allegations are mobile money agents. And this is what we want to have mentioned and want to continue to mention to them, that they need to stick within their operation offices, which are the booths. They need not to leave their mobile booth and go into maybe to transact with a person in a motor vehicle, because they are dealing with a commodity, which is money, which is scarce, of course. Just like in a bank, you don't see a teller moving around with huge sums of cash and ask them, do you want to withdraw, do you want to deposit? They need to stick within those booths. That way, they will keep themselves safe. Otherwise, we are, as police, who are providing the necessary security, but people should realize, despite more money agents, that they are dealing with money. And money is a scarce commodity. And actually, one of the qualities of money is that it's supposed to be scarce. And everybody's looking for money. So they need to conduct themselves by way of being security conscious and staying within their booths. I've seen an organization calling itself Mobile Money Agent Association. This is the time that such organizations need to step up to sensitize its members how they need to conduct this business, because this business is more or less like banking. You know that people that are in the banking sector, they are taught ethics. You cannot transact before the customer gives you the money that he wants you to send. We have seen mobile money agents whereby they have situations where they come to report the police that no, somebody came to deposit money and then I gave him money and then he's paid off. They actually do transactions before they even count the money. So they need to follow the ethical behavior of how, when you're dealing with money, you're supposed to conduct yourself.
On just being security conscious, there has obviously been a lot of concern from some residents. For example, in my area, some criminal activity that has been happening there. And one of the things that is being raised now is to possibly create a neighborhood watch for security purposes. Do you think that creating a neighborhood watch is another way of maybe dismantling this criminal activity, and it is very effective if in an event that a neighborhood watch is created?
If you remember, yep, I'm able to get you. Are you okay? Great. I was saying it is very important because for us as Zambia Police, actually, we realized the need of neighborhood watches as far back as 1995 when we did our police reforms, meaning that members of the public need to form neighborhood watch and work with us, the police, to ensure that we can patrol their areas. You know, when members of the public get involved in the fight against crime, it becomes very easy because police cannot be in every point. And also, once you complement efforts with us, it means you are able to give us even information relating to criminal activities in your area. Actually, since you members of the public live with the criminals in those areas, you're able to give us information as police so that we're able to apprehend such persons and they're taken to court. So the issue of neighborhood watch is the best way to go, and we'll continue encouraging members of the public to form neighborhood watches.
That needs to be taken to create a neighborhood watch. How do the police come in, and what do members of the public need to understand before creating something like this that could possibly help create a lot of security within residential areas and neighborhoods?
What the public need to do is to get in touch with the local officer in charge who will be able to give them all the guidance. It's already stipulated there. All what they need to do is come up together, form a committee where you have a chairperson, and then you can we'll have your fingerprints lifted, and then you register your neighborhood watch or crime prevention unit. Now, you need not to have a criminal record, because if you are going to have a criminal record, or say, for instance, you are an ex-convict, you will not be part of that because you need to have no criminal record, because we cannot work with criminals because it means you have crossed the boundary. You know that for sure, that in the issues of fighting crime, there are only two sides, either the police or you're against. So if you have a criminal record, unfortunately, you will not be part of the neighborhood watch.
And as the Zambia Police, how are these patrols going further into the year of obviously 2022? We still have seen so much that has happened from the beginning of it, the first quarter, and now getting into the second quarter of the year. How are your your patrols going with regards to how you are ensuring that there is safety, and neighborhoods and residential areas are also protected against criminals who are conducting criminal activity within these areas?
Well, our patrols have continued happening. Of course, in other areas, we have very strong neighborhood watch. Like if you look at Lepers Hill Road, we have a very active neighborhood watch who are actually participating and working with us effectively. We even have got a point where they complement the efforts of the police. But we want just to remind members of the public that the police cannot be everywhere, and neighborhood watch is one of the strategies that the police have used and continue to use, actually, for the betterment of every society. And one other thing that has been of concern is that when we have these residential areas mushrooming, there's always been a neglect in terms of living space for construction of a police station or police post. When people are getting plots to construct housing units, they don't think about the police. After they have finished constructing, everybody's thinking about getting his own piece of land. Then when they are done, they start crying for the police. Even to put police officers becomes a problem, because you know that police officers need to live near their offices, their operations. Otherwise, it will be a difficult task all the time, move officers from far-flying areas to go to the police station where it's going to be constructed. So it's very important that people that are never buying a piece of land or a residential area, ensure that you see that there's police presence. Otherwise, if that area has no police presence, that is a recipe for problems.
Ms. Hamoonga, I'd like to bring something your direction, and this is obviously speaking on loitering and how a lot of people feel it could be one of the reasons as well that is leading to criminal activity within some of these, neighborhoods in these areas. Somebody who is found loitering. Now, some concerns from the public on loitering have been that police officers are arresting people who are found loitering, allegedly anyway. But are officers supposed to arrest anyone that is found loitering, or what we are now terming it as shishita?
that if you are found, you need to explain your being found there. And if the explanation is not satisfactory, it means you'll be charged for admission of guilt fine. And once that is done, you need to be given an official government receipt. All right. So members of the public, the idea behind those patrols is to isolate because criminals also take advantage of such situations. They just move around to look for a place in which they can strike. So our concern there is, let's be very patriotic. Let's not be moving around at late hours unnecessarily, because if you are going to move around during that time, even the criminals also want to move at that time. If, for instance, you are a shift worker, all what you need to do is to go to your local police station and introduce yourself. Say, well, I knock off late hours. Please, I'm coming from work. You show everything, and that would be good. But where you just want to move anyhow, and officers apprehend you, you can't explain properly, they definitely have a right to get you to the police station and maybe give you a charge. So going forward, what are we saying? If you are you know that you knock off late and you're a shift worker, all what you need to do is just go to your local police station, introduce yourself. I work at such a company and my shift is like this. Then that will be an understanding. Even if you are met in the night, they will know you that, oh, well, this person, we have met him before. But in an instance where we ask you and you don't give proper explanations, and I want to tell you that even during such operations as police, we have actually had successes where we find people who can't explain themselves, where they're coming from. When we search them, find them, maybe they're going breaking implements and that kind of thing. And that's where we've been able to manage crime.